Somerset 106. Good morning. I'm Stephanie. Thanks for joining me on the Morning Mix. Joining us in the studio, local Kentucky author Larry Wills from Russell Springs joins us to talk about his first work, a memoir of his life. Please Don't Worry, a true story of faith, hope, and love. Larry, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me in.
You're a local author. You've lived in Kentucky, your entire life?
Yes. I'm originally from northeast of Lexington, a small community called Carlisle, Kentucky, Nicholas County. The first 56 years of my life was dedicated to that community, and that's where I was born and raised my family, and was a businessman in that community for over 25 years, and now I'm in Russell County now, and I live on the lake, and now we're into the book writing business.
So you've just published your very first work. From just reading the book jacket, I'm excited to dive into it, and it's a story that you can already tell. I'm going to have to grab a box of tissues to go with it. So share with us, Please Don't Worry, a true story of faith, hope, and love about this book and about your life, Larry.
A lot of people I know right now are saying, oh, such an old typical cliche, please don't worry. So easy to say and everything, but it's not that, because please don't worry is part of a sentence. And it was the very last sentence, the very last words that my wife of 36 years said to me. And that's why it's so personal, and that's why it means so much to me. She told me in those last words, with every ounce of strength that she could muster to even say anything, that is registered with my life, you might say, and it's going to be with me eternally. The book is, yes, about my life, and it's about the struggles of a man.
Larry, our mutual friend Karen, she actually got us connected and said, Stephanie, you need to talk to this guy named Larry Wills. He's written this book, and she told me when she got a copy of this book that she had to sit down and read it all at once, that she could not be bothered, she could not be disturbed, that she said she did not move from her chair to get a drink, to go to the restroom, anything until she turned to the last page. So if you just pick up the book and you open up to the first few pages, you're going to kind of be posed with these questions of what's going to happen in Larry's life. And not to give away the entire book, but can you tell us what story, what major event in your life sort of catapulted how your life has turned out in terms of the story that we're first met with when we pick up this book?
When I was 21 years old and I was in the military, I was on active duty with my local guard unit. I had a very tragic accident, and it left me totally paralyzed. I couldn't move anything but my eyeballs, and it would be a battle that I would absolutely have to fight and deal with, and I called it the day my life was forever changed. And I can't say that in many ways my life wasn't changed eventually for the better.
Here's an excerpt from Larry's book, Please Don't Worry, a true story of faith, hope, and love.
When I woke up on Sunday, September 17th, 1972, I had no idea that the events of the day would change my life forever. I'd been sleeping with my guard unit on the concrete floor of an old tobacco warehouse, a spot no doubt furnished by the city of Moorhead to house our cadre of weekend warriors while we built the city park. That morning, as I rolled out of my sleeping bag, I had the world by the tail, a strong, healthy body, a job at which I was very successful, a brand new home, a wife that I loved deeply and who loved me just as much. Fewer than 24 hours later, as I lay in the ICU at the VA hospital in Lexington, unable to move any part of my body, the seriousness of what had happened when the Jeep flipped over was beginning to hit me. I was fighting so hard to stay alive, to try to keep myself awake, but my body was so very, very tired. The 23rd Psalm speaks of walking through the valley of the shadow of death. I was in the shadow of death. I just couldn't fight any longer, but I knew there was a spirit much greater than me out there in the heavens. At that moment, I placed my hands in God's hands and said a prayer my mother had taught me as a little boy. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
That's an excerpt from the book Please Don't Worry, a true story of faith, hope, and love from Kentucky author Larry Wills. Coming up, we'll hear more from Larry and your chance to win a signed copy. Somerset 106, back with more from Kentucky author Larry Wills, his new book, Please Don't Worry, a true story of faith, hope, and love.
As you read this book, you may say, all right, enough already. I can't believe that one person, could have had so many things in their life to possibly have gone wrong. But through my faith and that I have, and the not giving up on life, having hope in life and everything, and having people around me that just love me all so much, and no matter what it was that I was going through in life, for that to be the major thing that caused me to initially first think when I was 23 years old that I had a great story to tell, and now I'm just now telling it 30 some odd years later. But at that time, the book itself wasn't finished at that time. I had much more of my life that I had to live. At one time, doctors told my family I probably wouldn't live. I was told I would never walk again. I was told that I'd never have children. I have 2 boys. I have 5 grandchildren. I was told I'd never ever work again. I went back to work. I worked for 25 years, became quite successful businessman. And I've even authored a book now, and hopefully it's my time through my life that I've lived. And that is the main purpose of the book, is to be able to help other people get through adversities in life and come out the other end a better person. This morning, if I had anything to say, I know there's a lot of people out there listening are going through their own trials and tribulations in their lives now. It may be that someone's not had a job and they've been looking now for, maybe they've been out of work for a year. All I would say to them is, don't give up hope. Continue to have faith. Continue to know that there's people always around that love you and want to help you. And maybe someone's been told by a doctor that, they have a dreaded illness of some kind. Now they're faced with that, and they think, where do I go from here? I would tell them, turn to the focal point that I've always turned to, turn to your faith, because He's always listening, and there's never anything that you can say to Him that He doesn't hear. He hears everything that we say, and He'll answer in some way. I'll guarantee that. My book is, hopefully, I've written it to where you're going to be very entertained, number one. The second thing I wanted to do was I wanted to educate people. And then I wanted to motivate and inspire you to be able to do things that you couldn't think you could possibly do. And I get caught doing anything in life. I hope it's doing the right thing at the right time for someone or some group of people or something, And I hope I don't get caught just being a bystander. I hope I get caught being a person that's trying to do something to help others.
Please Don't Worry, a story of faith, hope, and love from local Kentucky author Larry Wills. Larry, where can we get a copy of your book?
Well, here in Somerset, the Carnegie Center downtown has some books there that you can purchase. You can go to my local website, which is just simply LarryGWills.com. You can purchase a book there from my website. We've just recently recorded the book, so it's going to be on sale